Hey gorgeous, it's Paula and we are talking real estate 101. So when you are looking at a real estate contract, there are several contingencies that can exist within that contract. Contract is when the seller and the buyer are agreed on every single thing and everybody's initialed, and now we have mutual acceptance. At that point, contingencies are dealt with one by one by one. There can be several contingencies in a real estate transaction, and today we're going to talk about the inspection. So my name is Paula. I'm a real estate professional in Washington State, and I have been in real estate for over 15 years. The area where I focus is Southwest Washington. And my focus in real estate is ensuring that my clients have all of the information. Real estate is the biggest investment people make. And if you're making decisions when you're purchasing and or selling real estate and you don't have all the information, that can end badly. So my clients leave with the biggest smiles on their faces because I've done my job. I have given them all the information and they are then able to make the best choices for themselves. So let's dive right in. Once you have mutual acceptance, and this is what I'm going to be talking about because it's something that I encounter a lot of little challenges with, but tonight we're talking about the inspection. The real estate inspection is ordered by the buyer. And I would recommend that if you have a licensed real estate inspector, go ahead and call a few different companies. I've recommended at least 3 to each client because the people that I get along with are not necessarily the people my buyers or sellers get along with. And so you want to feel comfortable and at ease with the person who's going to be going through the home and talking to you about all these things. You have a set amount of time on your real estate contract to get the inspection done. So this is not something you want to wait on. When your real estate inspector shows up, and you need to let the seller know because your real estate broker will be at the property with you, I recommend that first off, everybody get an inspection. I've had brand new construction, stunning properties that have had a real estate inspection, and there have been repairs that needed to be done. Even if you don't intend on asking for anything or it's an as-is property, getting an inspection done can show you some hidden oops and boo-boos that you maybe didn't see or would not have seen. So it's worth it to have this done. I recommend that you show up at the inspection. I think most, if not all, real estate professionals will want their buyers to show up, and your inspector will walk through. Now, it's their job to find things wrong with the property. And if it's a new property, they may find, areas where the tape and texture is a little off or a wall switch is a little crooked. In a 125-year-old home, they'll probably find a lot more. But your inspection report should be 20 to 40 pages. And there are pictures, and there will be areas where it's recommended things to be fixed and things that are, this is required that you fix. Safety issues will, can be big, big, big. So your inspection will take, I would probably schedule out at least 2 hours. When your inspector is going through and testing everything, and they have the little pieces that they plug into all the outlets, and GFCI sockets are a big catch for inspectors, but they're going to walk through a lot of this with you, and then they're going to go their separate way, and then you and your broker are going to leave, and you're going to lock the property up. You have to leave the property in the condition that you found it. If your inspector, let's say, has to poke a hole in the wall to see something back there, you have to return the property to the condition it was in before the inspection was done. Okay, this will be in your contract. So, just a little side note, because Paula sometimes goes, squirrel. So, you've left your broker's left, everybody's home. Within about 2 days, your broker will get your inspection report. And I love to sit down with my clients and we go over each little thing. And with the pictures, you can walk through the home and look at each thing. As a buyer, you can request repairs be made by the seller. Now, what if the seller is an as-is? An as-is property means that we're not going to do anything to the property. You're buying it as is. Okay? As a buyer, you have the right to have an inspection and you can ask for as many things to be fixed as possible. The buyer is just kind of giving you a heads up that they don't want to fix anything. And I've had as-is sellers turn around and make repairs to a property. So this is something that you can do. So once you get your inspection report and you go through it, and I've had buyers ask for every single thing on the inspection report. That's not reasonable. I don't know any seller that's going to come in and go, yeah, I'll fix everything for you. It just doesn't happen. You have 3 options. You can ask the seller to fix or remedy certain things. You can tell the seller that you do not have any repair requests of them. Or 3, you can reject. You can at this point say, no, I no longer wish to purchase this property. And you can step back from the real estate transaction and walk away from the property. The inspection report is the buyer's. It does not belong to the seller. And if you choose option 1, where you request certain things of the seller, I would recommend that you put excerpts from your inspection report and with pictures so they can see them. Okay? You don't want to go asking for things that are not in the inspection report. That's just not cool. So now you have listed, let's say, a few things, and you've signed the 35R. This is the form in Washington State, and your agent sends it over to the seller's agent or the listing agent, and then your sellers have 3 days to respond. Your seller can, A, they can agree to the items that the buyer has requested. B, they can reject the buyer's proposed remedies or repairs, but suggest instead this or that. Or C, they can say, no, we're not going to do any of that. The as-is property. If it's an as-is property and they're just adamant that they're not going to fix a gol darn thing, then the seller can say no. So then they sign it and they send it back to the buyer. Now, if they've agreed to any repairs, they have up until 3 days from closing to take care of those. They don't have to turn around the next day, and you know, most sellers will get on that. If they have rejected the buyer's request, but instead suggest this or that, the buyers have to agree to that. And at that point, if they agree, then the inspection contingency is satisfied, and then we move on to the next contingency. If they reject the seller's request, the buyer must then either suggest something different or say, okay, then we don't want the property. And at that point, the parties go their separate way, and the house is available for somebody else to buy it. So, I do recommend that if you are a buyer and if you request things to be done and if those things are agreed to by the seller, I'm not saying sellers are bad or buyers are bad, but I suggest that you do your walkthrough prior to closing. I have seen it where sellers, gosh, they just forgot or they overlooked it. I mean, they're busy moving out of a home and buying a new home or doing whatever they're doing, and it got overlooked. I've seen it where they just looks like they just really never intended to do those things. But if you've requested things be done Your seller has up to 3 days within closing to take care of those things. And you do not want to close until those things are taken care of. So you want to do a final walkthrough. And your broker can do a walkthrough. You can't just come and go through the property without your broker until that property is legally in your name. And then you want to walk through the property and make sure those things are ticked off. Okay, that's important for you. You do not want to have to come back after closing and then have potential legal costs involved to get a party to do what they agreed to do in a contract that is done now. Okay. So, each real estate transaction is different. And just about the time I always think, I've seen it all, I see something new. So I guarantee you that, my next real estate transaction, I'll have something come up and it'll be like, I've never seen this before. I'll share that with you and we'll go over it. But that basically is your inspection contingency. And we have lots more of those because, again, there are lots of contingencies in a real estate transaction. So I would love it if you would subscribe, like, make comments. Your comments give me great ideas for content that I can share with you because, again, my goal is making sure you have all the information so you can make the best decisions in real estate for you. And I thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Have a fantastic day. Thanks.